Hey everyone, thanks for listening in. I'm Dr. Baharvand, local orthodontist here in Frisco, a colony area, and today I want to talk about something that doesn't get discussed nearly enough. This isn't about to scare anyone. This is, it doesn't mean, I don't mean to be attacking anyone on this topic either. It really just means to help families making a informed decision. So let's call this for really what it is, a buyer beware kind of conversation. Over the last few years, I've noticed a growing trend in orthodontics, especially in fast-growing areas like Frisco, Lewisville, some of the surrounding cities. This especially started around and after COVID when kind of market was set for it. I noticed more and more offices, orthodontic offices or practices, are branded under a doctor's name. Let's say Doctor So and So Orthodontics. It sounds reassuring, right? People kind of want to go to a practice that a doctor's name is up there. And most parents probably assume that the doctor will be the one who treats their child. Doctor will be the one who sees them, every time they come in. And the doctor is going to be there for the duration of the treatment, which is often about 18 to 24 months. But the uncomfortable truth is, many orthodontic offices, the doctor whose name is on the sign is not the treating doctor. Is not actually, many times, the doctor may not even be in the office. So that's something really important to know. And we don't talk about this enough. Sometimes they're not even in the building. They've never been there for as long as you can remember. They may not even be in the state. That's the crazy part. Let me share with you a local example around one of our offices. I'm not naming names. This isn't about shaming anyone or everyone does what they like to do. That's just being free market. But there's an office in Lewisville where after COVID, they ended up selling to a corporate office. Not to mention names here either. But the doctor's name is still up there. But since the transition from being privately owned to corporate owned, now they've gone through 3 associate orthodontists. They've gone through tens of assistants or other office staff. Their office size, as far as the staff go, is not even half of what it used to be. And we're getting constant applications from some of the people who actually work there. And this is a big telling sign. If the staff were leaving in numbers, it tells you how terrible the environment is for them to be working there. I can only imagine how the conditions would be for the patients, seeing all the new doctors and all the new staff. You may question here the continuity of care that might be, not happening in those environments. So that's something that comes first. I think it is felt first when an office gets sold to This is what I want for our families, our community to understand. Orthodontics is not transactional care. This isn't a haircut. This is not just getting your teeth whitened. It's not even getting dental crown done. It's not a once-done deal. It's a continuous treatment for, again, a lot of times for the period of, year and a half to 2 years. It involves facial growth that needs to be monitored, jaw development, bite correction. There are some irreversible decisions that, oftentimes is done during the treatment. If the brackets are placed incorrectly, teeth will move in the wrong direction. If the aligners are planned in a certain way, that can be consequential. So when doctors rotate in and out, accountability gets blurry. If one orthodontist starts the plan, another modifies it, the third one finishes it, well, who truly owns that treatment? Let me address the obvious question here. Is it legal for an orthodontic office to be branded under a doctor's name, even if the doctor isn't the treating patient, is the one who's treating patients? Unfortunately, the answer is yes, it is legal. It's free market again. Corporate structures are very good at staying within legal boundaries, but legality isn't the same as transparency. It's also not the same as accountability. families deserve both. Parents should not have to decode corporate structures, do like serious research to find out who really owns the office and who's going to be the doctor who's going to be there. Branding is a powerful tool. When a parent sees a doctor's name on a building or on a website, social media, there's an assumption of presence. This assumption is not unreasonable. It's human assumption. It's just common sense. But in corporate orthodontics, branding often comes with, comes before relationships. Doctor becomes just a logo. Office becomes a production center. Patients become numbers in a system. This corporate dude sitting somewhere far away doesn't see the patient; they just see numbers. Well, I'm going to tell you, this is not what I would like for my family. Now, here's what I recommend. Here's my advice. Before starting orthodontic treatment, let's say you live in Lewisville, you live in Frisco, you live anywhere. On the phone, when you're trying to make an appointment, ask one simple question. Who will actually be treating my child? And will it be the same orthodontist throughout the care? Also ask who, owns the practice. Is it the same person who's on the sign, or is it someone else? Is this a corporately owned practice, or Dr. So-and-so owns the whole thing? These are really important questions to be asking. And again, if somebody is dishonest about this, that itself is a red flag. In a family-owned practice like Elate Orthodontics, ours, the doctor's reputation is not transferable. I can't just disappear if something goes south. Hopefully, never will. But I'm always here. I have to be here. I can't hide behind a brand. I can't, just disappear, as I said. If something goes wrong, it's a personal issue for me, and that pressures me. That pressures any privately owned practice to have better systems, have better communications, have better outcomes. It's not perfect. No one's perfect. But this model, it puts the incentive on doing good quality work. In summary, I like to say that I don't believe corporate orthodontics is evil. Corporations are, part of this economy, part of, our livelihoods. What I'm trying to say is, families deserve honesty. They need to know. The question that we discuss: who's their orthodontist? Whether the doctor will actually be there long term. Do they own it, or do they just work there as an associate? I don't believe branding should be blaring the truth. Orthodontics is a long-term journey. Trust matters, continuity matters, and knowing who your doctor actually is really, really important. I want to thank you all for listening in today. This is Dr. Baharvand from Elate Orthodontics. I've been doing the Frisco Orthodontist podcast for a while now, and I really love doing this. It gives me this opportunity, this window to communicate directly with hundreds and thousands of our, the families in our community around our practices. So I want to thank you again and wish you all a great day.